Hey everybody, welcome to the first Let's Play Battle Report style video for Age of Sigmar 2nd edition. Last week I just put out a video, kind of an introductory sort of video towards the Soul Wars box set, where you get the Nighthaunts and the Stormcast Eternals, the new Sacrosanct Chamber. And now I'm going to run through a 1,000-point battle using just the models that are in the starting box. Now, the box itself gives you points for all the different models and units that you get in the game. Those are different points than you are going to see in the General's Handbook, which moving forward, that's what I'm going to use. But I kind of wanted to just highlight what you get in that basic box just to get you started, because there really is a ton of stuff that you can do. If you just picked up that starter box, there's tons of missions and scenarios and sort of different little rules that you can add on or not add on and leave in and leave out and all that kind of stuff to add like just a lot of replayability just to that basic box. So I am going to use matched play. That's why I bring up points. There are some matched play scenarios in there. There are points that are outlined. And so I'm going to use one of those matched play scenarios with some of the other sort of, I don't know, add-on rules. So this is a battle that you're going to see here is played in the Realm of Death. So there's going to be a special rule that I've added and access to different special command abilities and stuff. So I kind of wanted to feature a lot of parts of the game without getting too overwhelmed. I'm going to go over, as I play through, the core rules. I'll talk a little bit about how to build the army, although I'm just using what's in the box. But we're going to walk through all the turns and play through a game, and you kind of go through the different core rules in there. But I am going to be using not the scenario that's in the core rules, which is, frankly, the least fun way to play this game is just smash everybody together and kill each other. We're going to play an objective-based match point scenario out of the main core rulebook with some of the Allegiance abilities, the Realm of Death abilities, and all that kind of stuff. So let's jump down and take a quick look at what's going to happen during the setup kind of thing, and then we'll jump in and start playing the game. So the points that you're going to get for the units that come in the box are actually in the back of this Battle of Glimsforge book. This is a nice little narrative book. It tells you a little bit about the different units, and then in the very back, it has points. And these points are not what's in the General's Handbook. And the General's Handbook, of course, is what is meant to play, normal match play for what you're going to see in tournaments and the properly sized units. So for example, here we have the Castigators, the Evocators, and the Sequitors all in minimum unit size of 3. And off the top of my head, I pull out the handbook, but I think the Sequitors are 5, the Castigators are 5. I mean, the Evocators might actually be 3. I'm not sure. And the point values here are a little bit different. So I'm going to reckon that these are balanced against each other and not necessarily against the larger field at play. And you've also got here leaders and battle lines and all that kind of stuff. So you can build this out to, I think the Stormcast Eternals is 880 points based on this. And then the Nighthaunts themselves are 820. But with the little bit of leftover points, the Stormcast Eternals can start with 2 command points because those are 50 points each. If you want to build your army and leave some left over, you can spend 50 points to come into the battle with a command point. So 2 command points for the Stormcast Eternals, and then there's enough left over for the Nighthaunts to start with 3 command points. And that's nice because that'll give us an excuse to spend and maybe waste command points for different cool things that we can do. The other thing you can have is battalions, and those are like special formations of particular types of units. We're not going to use any of those here, but those can also give you command points, extra artifacts, and extra special abilities and things like that. So let's take a look now at the allegiances and things like that. So if you jump up to the Conquest Unbound section, you're going to see all these kind of little goodies and extra sort of thematic stuff and also different special ability stuff that you can add. So here we've got allegiance abilities for order. So the Stormcast Eternals here, you can see this fella. He is part of order as well as being a part of Stormcast Eternals. Now the new battle tome has come out for specific Stormcast Eternal stuff, and also there's a battle tome for the Nighthaunt stuff. But now we're going to stick with these sort of generic abilities, order. And so you have the order battle trait here, you've got some command traits, and then you've got the artifacts. So your general is going to get access to this command trait, and then these artifacts you can give to any of your heroes. So for example, the battle trait here for the order is in the battle shock phase, which I'll explain later. You can reroll battle shock tests for friendly order units. So that's going to be really good because we're playing in death, and I'll show you the special ability that's happening there. And then if we flip over here, up to death, we can also see the battle trait here. In this case, each time you allocate a wound or a mortal wound, you can roll a die. If there's a death hero within 6 inches of that unit, then on a 6+, you're going to ignore that. It's kind of like a bonus save that you can get. And then we'll have a command trait and then a little summonable ability kind of thing for this artifact that we're going to add. I'll explain that more in a second. And then here we've got the realm of battle. So we decided that this, or I decided that this battle is going to take place in the realm of Shyish and the realm of death. And when I rolled up on this table, it says terrain features have the sinister scenery. So what they're going to do, these 4 main terrain features I've decided to pick, are going to reduce the bravery of anybody that's on it or within an inch of it. And so that's the special thing. And then we're going to get access to extra spells and command abilities that both forces can use. And finally, we picked out this battle plan here, Blood and Glory. This is a matched play scenario. There's 6 of these. There's a whole bunch of other narrative and open play scenarios that are in here as well. And there's a way to generate scenarios and all that kind of stuff. So I decided I'm going to stick with this since we're using points. We'll stick with this, and you can see, I'll show this on the screen here in a minute, but you set up the battlefield in a certain way. There's objectives that we're going to try to control, and you're trying to control the most. There's going to be 4 objectives, 2 in one player's territory and then 2 in the other, and you're trying to control the most at the end of 5 rounds. If it's a tie, then whoever killed the most points for the stuff is going to be the winner in that case. Pretty straightforward scenario. Now, the other thing to note about these War Scroll cards here, these are actually different War Scrolls than you have for sort of the official units that are out there. So if you download the War Scrolls, for some of these are going to be a little bit different, or if you get the new War Scroll cards that are going to come out, it's slightly different. So I'm just going to stick with what's in here, though, since we're kind of playing in the context of just the base box set starters. So I give you kind of a quick idea of what each of the different units do. This is the Knight Incantor here. You can see she is a mage. She's got this cool vial that she can pop. She can drink it. She's going to do mortal wounds and damage herself, but then she's able to sort of use that as sort of a self-destruct kind of thing and then cause a bunch of mortal wounds to the other units around her. Here, let's get down a little bit better of an angle. These are Castigators. Obviously, they're a ranged unit, and they can sort of decide to be more accurate or do a little bit more damage. So when you shoot, you kind of make a choice, and we'll explain that as we get to it. And then here we have the Evocators. These actually are a wizard or a mage, and as long as there's at least 2 models in the unit, then it can cast magical spells. But these guys are pretty good. They have sort of a high damage attack, a lot of attacks, and has a rend, which actually reduces their opponent's save. So these guys are pretty powerful. They're a small unit, but they each have 3 wounds, so it's kind of a very, very elite force. And next, we're going to have 2 units of these Sequitors. These are your sort of basic troops. Each of them is going to have 2 folks with shields, and then 1 guy here with a 2-handed mace, which does a little bit more damage possibly. So we're going to have 2 units of those. And then we have the Ballista here, which is a sort of a very deadly cannon that the Ghost player is going to be running from, because this thing is a beast and has the possibility to either miss wildly or do a ton of damage to the opposing force. And it's got its 2 little sort of operators there. And then finally we have the Lord Arcanum, who's the general. And he has so much stuff that he has a double fold card here. I'm not going to explain all the stuff that he does. He's got that same kind of self-destruct idea that the Invocator there has. And then also he's got this thing where he can like ride the wind and move really fast. And he's also got some healing and stuff. So he's pretty strong. And he's got some decent attacks as well. So that is the Lord Arcanum, and he is our general. And he gets an artifact, because you get 1 artifact here. And he's getting what's called the Phoenix Stone, which allows him to heal a wound on every hero phase. So every player turn for the Stormcast, he's going to heal a wound, which is going to come in handy. Now, he also got a command trait. And you can see I'm using these 2 dice here to keep track of the traits. So the Stormcast started with 2, but now they're going to go up to 3. So they're also going to start with 3, just like the Nighthaunt, based on that command trait. Now, moving on to the Nighthaunt, we're going to run 2 units of this Chain Rasp Horde, so 2 units of 10. And these guys make up the battle line for the Nighthaunt. You always need, if you're playing a 1,000-point game, 2 battle line. So similar to when I had the 2 units of the Sequitors here, these guys with the maces and the shields, I'm going to have 2 units of the Chain Rasp Horde. Typically, you want to run these with 20 because they get a special ability as long as they have 10 or more models. Now, these start with 10, but as soon as 1 dies, that special ability gets turned off. So you want to have like a little bit of a buffer. So in competitive play, let's say, I'd want, maybe 2 units of 20, and then take out some of the other units, or 1 unit of 20 and then some other battle line. Because when you play again with 1,000 points, you need 2 battle line units. So to not break the rules, we're going to run 2 units of 10 here. Not a big deal, but we're going to stick to the rules. The next unit here are these Grimghast Reapers. These are just an attack unit. They're relatively weak. They only have 1 wound each and they're a small unit. But if you can get them in and get some damage in before they disappear, they should be good. But they're just kind of a straightforward, possibly high damage output unit that is very fragile. Next we have the Glaive Wraith Stalkers. These are just kind of another straightforward unit. Just kind of a variation on the previous one. Just some decent attacks and then they might do a little bit of damage. These don't have the drummer in the base box, and you want the drummer to unlock the ability to retreat and charge, so you can maybe kind of switch units or back off and as you want, and that kind of stuff. So this one, you don't have the drummer, so I'm not going to play with that rule. I could proxy somebody, but it's fine. But these sort of Nighthaunt basic units are kind of basic in vanilla, but once we get to the heroes, which I'll get to now, they kind of start to have some life, even though they're undead. Now this guy here is the Guardian of Souls. He's really cool because he's going to heal units, and he can actually bring models back to life. As long as there's some models left in the unit, then he can heal D6 wounds on a particular model, or D6 models, or D6 wounds worth of models back on a unit. So got to keep him very safe, and then allow him to keep those guys up. And so you can keep killing them and killing them and killing them, they keep coming back. And this fella is an interesting thing, the Spirit Torment. So he's similar. He has the ability to heal. He's got these cool little keys on the back there. If some models have been killed, then he can start healing. And he has some decent attacks himself. So he's kind of like a weird kind of frontline healer, kind of doing damage, sort of like a life tap kind of idea. So he's a little bit more interesting than just kind of the straight healer. So this guy you want to try to keep around, but also you want to push him forward to get some damage in. Or at least have him around where some bodies are dropping. Now this guy here, the Lord Executioner, he's very much the anti-hero guy. So if you want him around a hero, because it's going to debuff the hero and make it so that he can't hit as well. So this is a good guy to kind of have around. And he has some decent attacks as well back the other direction as well. So he's a very cool model as well. He's got this sort of Hangman's Noose and all the ghosts and stuff for the people that he executed. And here is the Knight of Shrouds. This is going to be our general. He's got a really cool ability where if you choose to use the command ability, a unit that's within 18 inches of him is going to add 1 to the attack, so they'll each get a bonus attack. So those Chain Rasp Hordes, this little unit there, they've got 2 attacks each. That's going to go up to 3. So it's going to go from 20 attacks to 30 attacks just for that little unit to 10, and so on. And then he's also now got the ability to summon a whole unit back into play. So you can roll 2d6 and bring in a unit with that many wounds. So maybe again, one of these Chain Rasp Horde units gets deleted, he could summon it back. Now I'm not going to bring in any extra models, which you could. I'm just going to stay within what's in the box. So basically once something dies, then I'm going to start thinking about using him to activate and bring it back. And then his ability also based on the command trait. Now that's an artifact, I should say, that gives him that summon. The command trait itself for being death is, remember how I said if a unit is within 6 inches of a hero or general, then they can roll a 6 up beyond their normal save, so they get that second save. Around him, you only have to be within 12 inches. So that range on that sort of heal bubble or that save bubble is going to be a little bit bigger for him. So that's all the units. Let me go ahead and do the deployment, and then I'll tell you a little bit about the scenario, and then we'll get into the game. So before you do deployment, you're going to roll off, and you're going to pick a battlefield edge. And the Stormcast got the roll off, and it doesn't really matter in this case because they have less units to deploy. And you go alternating back and forth, deploying 1 unit at a time. So maybe you drop your leader, and then the other player will drop a unit over there, which I'll show you in a minute. You go back and forth. Whoever finishes deploying first gets the choice if they want to go first or second in the first battle round. So the Stormcast are going to decide to go first because they've got some shooting. They're going to try to pop off a couple of shots maybe. Now the object of this scenario here is to control, and I've used these grave site markers here. There's one here, and then if we go all the way over here, there's another one there, but I'm actually using, in this case, that special rock there. So the center point of the rock, and on everything else, the center point of the grave site is going to be the center of the objective marker. So there's 2 on this side, there's 1 here, and then again back over here, like so. And if any player controls all 4, the 2 on this side and the 2 on the other side at the end of round 3, I believe, I'll double check that, then they immediately win. Otherwise, you play 5 rounds, whoever controls the most will win, and then, like I said, it goes to kill points. Now, once you mark control of it, you can move off of it. So at the beginning, both sides will control both of these because they're within 6 inches. They have the most models within 6 inches of the center of the point. So they mark control of it, then they can move off it. Of course, the enemy can maybe sneak around, or maybe they have something that lets them drop units in and snag it back, but there's none of that in this game. So we got control here. You can see I put the castigators there. Here's the leader, a unit of sequitors there. Here's the big ballista hiding in these trees. This is the evocators there, kind of the mage unit. Some more of these guys. Oh, what's he doing over there? So I forgot him there. And then we have here the other mage here is going to kind of sneak up the mountain. So let's go take a look at how the Nighthaunt's deployed. So here you can see the party of these chain rasp hordes around this gravesite here. We have the glaive wraith stalkers there, and then the leaders back here tucked behind. Oh, we can also see this guy here is the executioner. He's tucked into that. And then we've got another group of chain rasp horde and then some other guys tucked in the little mountainside there. Now the other thing to keep in mind is each of these terrain pieces here, I've got like a special marker in the case of this. So that kind of main mountainside, that's going to give basically fear, sinister terrain, because we're playing in the death realm. So it's going to reduce the bravery of everything that's on that and within an inch of it by 1. And similar here to this whole sort of square blob there. And then again, I forgot to mention over there, that square blob. And then this here with that rock piece. So, and that's going to count for this whole piece of terrain there. So everything on that or within an inch of that is going to have -1 to their bravery, which is going to affect their battle shock, which I'll come talk about in a minute. And then we've got some extra command abilities and spells and stuff. And if I figure out I want to use them, I'll bring them up. But just know that because we're playing in the realm of death, I've got access to some different abilities. Oh, and I forgot to mention the other two guys here. So this guy here is going to, the just jailer guy, he's going to hang out for there. These guys are kind of hiding because there's a little bit of range on the other side. And then I didn't see if I just tuck over here. This guy, he's the healer that he's tucked back there. So again, the Stormcast are going to go first. And then the first thing that's going to happen in the battle round is you're going to get another command point. So the Stormcast are going to immediately go up to 4 command points. And then we're going to go into the hero phase. And this is the phase where we can run command abilities, cast spells, and so on. So I don't really have any command abilities that I want to use, but I am going to have my general here cast Mystic Shield on these shooters, and that's going to allow them to reroll saves of 1. If they roll a 1 on a save, they can re-roll it. Now I did measure the other side has a wizard, but he's just outside of 30 inches from this fella here. So what happens is when I cast a spell, then if you have a wizard on your side that's within 30 inches, which is quite a long ways, then you get a chance to unbind that spell. So I'll go ahead and cast Mystic Shield. I need a 6 here to do it. So I just got it with a 7. Now if somebody was within range, they could roll. They'd have to beat a 7 in that case. In that case, they would have, but he's out of range there. Now you can only cast each spell once per hero phase. So he cast the Mystic Shield. He succeeded. I have another wizard, or actually 2 wizards, and they all know Mystic Shield and Arcane Bolt, and then they know some specific ones based on their War Scroll. So, but I can't cast the same spell twice. So I'm going to put a little token here and mark with Mystic Shield. This is an old one, so pay no attention to what the words say because that spell's actually changed. So they can actually reroll saves of 1 until my next hero phase. So this is going to last through both my turn and the opponent's turn. So now we're going to go into the movement phase. We're going to move everybody. Now if you move, you're going to move a certain amount based on their War Scroll. Obviously, most of these Stormcast guys can move 5 inches, including these castigators. So I'm going to go ahead and measure that out a bit and move up. So they've moved up. Now I'm going to go ahead and move the rest of my units. I may run some of these units. I'm going to go ahead and run these sequitors that are right there. And you just add a d6 to their movement like that. So I add 5. They're going to move 10. So we're going to kind of run them up this way. I think I'm going to go ahead and run the general as well. So roll that. We're going to add 4 to him. So he can move initially 12, so he can go up to 16. We're going to go ahead and just shave off 15 for moving through the ruins there. Move him up to there. Now this ballista here is going to stay put. He's just going to kind of hang out and protect this back line if anybody kind of sneaks through. He moves very slowly. He also gets a little bit of a bonus if he's in cover as well. And this is since he's entirely within this wood here, he's going to get a bonus cover save. We're going to go ahead and run the evocators and then the sequitors there. So we'll roll for the evocators first. They're going to get +3. Sequitors are going to get +1 there. So these guys will get 8. Move them up. And you know what? We're going to go ahead and run this wizard guy here. He's going to get 4. And that's on top of his normal 5-inch movement. So he's going to get a whole total of 9. He's going to move up these. Now each of these mountains here, you can see these are just 1 inch thick. So they're easy to measure. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. And another inch going in that way about. So we'll just inch him up a little bit forward right about there. I'm just cutting out all the measuring to keep it less boring. Okay, so that's the movement. Everybody on this side has run, so they cannot charge at all. So we're going to do a shooting phase here. I'm going to check some line of sight. But when you run, you can't shoot or charge. Now these folks here, they did not run, the castigators, so they can shoot. And then of course these guys didn't move at all, so they have the ability to shoot as well. Nobody's really within range of charging. We have pushed forward a little bit, so we are susceptible to possibly being charged back, depending if the other side gets a double turn, especially, which I'll talk about in a second. So let's check line of sight on these shooting units. Now I can't quite, of course, get the camera to where you would see it. These you can see like from the point of view of the ballista, like the top of the weapon. I'm just explaining this now to give you a sense of like how I normally like to play. They can see the weapon. Typically the rules say if you see any part of the model you can shoot it. I house rule that and say no, you're seeing the tip of a blade or something. Now if you can see part of like one or two of the model's bodies, then it's free reign. You can get to shoot the whole unit, because especially with these here, these ghosts, these are kind of swarming and moving around. They're stagnant figures, but in sort of the reality, they're moving around, you know, bobbing and weaving in between cover and not cover and so on. But if you can just see like a tiny sliver or something, I'm not going to count that. And the same over this direction, you can see, well, you can't even see it here at all. But if you look down there, you can maybe see, let's zoom in there, that little top of, that's about what they can see there. They can't even see this little fella. You just kind of see the top of that bell there. So I'm not going to allow them to shoot in that case. But, well, you know what? These guys can't really see much either. And that's kind of due to me playing this setup already. So I know where all the line of sight is in this particular game. When I played this before, the ballista wrecked lots of havoc at the beginning of the game. So I wanted to make this, you know, a little bit more interesting than a complete wipeout. So no shooting, no line of sight. Now we would move to the charge phase, but nobody can charge. So there's not going to be any close combat. If there's anybody within combat range, then we would have combat. And then we would do the battle shock phase to see if any units or models flee, but that's not going to happen. So we're at the end of turn one for the Stormcast. So going into turn one for the Nighthaunt, we're going to get another command point here. So they're also going to go up to 4. So in this case, we are going to use a command ability here from our leader onto this unit here of 10 at the chain rasp port. So we're going to spend that command point, and this is going to give them +1 attack. So I'll use a little marker there. So I'm going to try to get a charge in from them over here onto the leader there. They move 6 inches, and then feasibly they could charge, and maybe we'll get a double turn, which I'll explain in a second. So I'm going to use that command ability. Then we're going to go ahead and get into the movement phase. I'm not going to cast any spells or anything. So we'll go right into movements. Now this sort of unit here, these guys move 6. All of the Nighthaunt units can fly, so you're going to ignore terrain. They're just going to move straight through. I'm not going to run them or anything. I'm just going to kind of move them up slowly here. So they went ahead and moved up just a little bit. Now this fella, we're going to just kind of tuck in back over here. Try to keep him out of line of sight for now, but keep him close up with the rest of the units. Yeah, so he can only get to about there, and I don't want to run him. These 2 units here, I'm going to run them up to try to get him tucked back in behind here, out of range of the ranged attacks from the Stormcast. So first we'll run for the glaive wraith, so they get 6, that's going to be 12 inches, and then the hero, the executioner, is going to get 5, so he's going to get 11 inches. We're going to move them up there. So we'll get them up here, and then he's going to move up. Now let's go ahead and run these 2 heroes here. We're going to run our general and then the healer guy there. And since they can fly right through this particular piece. So first the general, he is going to get 5, and then the guardian is going to get another 5. So they're going to both move up 11. All right, so the guardian's going to get right up here behind that rock, and then the other guy here is going to be right behind him, like so. So hopefully they're pretty much out of line of sight, but that's not going to last too long from the castigators there. So this group here, like I said, is not going to run. They're going to move up 6 and try to get a lucky charge in on that, but I've got command points to spend to try to reroll that charge if they fail. And a lot of times you can just measure the front line, usually, and then you can just make sure that everybody stays in that same sort of relative position there. So as long as nobody moves more than the 6 inches as I knock everything over. And you've got to keep everybody within 1 inch of coherency in this case, so you can't like spread them out a whole bunch. And then it's also, I think it's 3 or 6 inches vertically that you have to stay within coherency as well. So they've moved up, they've not ran. And then these fellas here, they have an 8-inch movement, so they're a little bit faster. And I don't know that they can get in charge range. Let me measure that. Yeah, they could do a charge. So I'm not going to run them either. We're just going to move them their full 8. And then they can maybe fly through these trees or something. So these fellas here are going to try to get a charge off on the Lord Arcanum, as well as these guys. So we're going to go ahead and do a roll off for the charge. Now, unfortunately, this unit here is not within range of the general. So if we fail the charge, we can't re-roll it. But this unit is here, will cost us a command point. So let's first go ahead and do this unit here. We're going to roll 2d6. And you can see we got a 5 there. That's not going to be enough to make it to that general. And then next here, we're going to do another 2d6 roll off. And so we got 6 there. That's not going to be enough. So I'm going to spend a command point off the general to re-roll that. So we're down to 2 command points for the Nighthaunt. Let's see if we can get a big number there. That's 7. I don't think that's enough. And yeah, there's no way. You have to get be able to move one model that's within a half an inch of your target. And then you can move everybody up, and then you're allowed to pile in and do combat. So we failed the chargers across the board there. And the only other unit that didn't run was these fellas way over here, but they're outside of 12 inches. So you can't make a charge if you're outside 12 inches. And since we are not going to have a combat phase, I'm going to remove this +1. So that was a waste. Oh well. That particular spell only applies to the very next combat phase, not into your next turn. So at this point, we'd have a battle shock phase. Nobody's died, so no big deal. And we are going to go into battle round 2. And now, instead of the Stormcast going automatically first alternating turns, we're going to roll 2 dice. The blue player is going to be the Stormcast, and the white is going to be the Nighthaunt. And whoever rolls higher and then gets to choose who gets to go first. So it's theoretically possible for the Nighthaunt to immediately take another turn right after this. That's what makes this game so interesting. So we're going to roll these dice. And so the Nighthaunt did fail. The Stormcast got a 2. So the Stormcast could let the Nighthaunt go first, but they are not. The Stormcast are not going to take their turn. So about round 2, Stormcast get another command point. They're now up to 5 because they haven't spent any. And the Nighthaunt again only have 2. So because the start of my new hero phase, this Mystic Shield that I cast earlier is going to come off. So we're not going to do command abilities, but the general here is going to cast Arcane Bolt over on the leader here. Now he's going to cast Arcane Bolt because he's got a cool special ability. You can see it says, if this model casts Arcane Bolt, it is not unbound, then the spell inflicts D3 mortal wounds instead of 1, because normally it inflicts 1, and it does D6 instead of D3 if it rolls a 10 plus. So on Arcane Bolt, all you need is a 5, and we got exactly a 5, but this fella here is definitely within 30 inches. You can see the Guardian there right next to the general, so all he needs to do is beat a 5 to actually beat that. So we're going to take and roll that, and all he's going to do is beat a 5, and he does with a 6, so all for naught. So he failed his Arcane Bolt roll, unfortunately. Now we're going to have our Incanter cast a Mystic Shield here on these guys. He's within 18 inches. We're going to try to force these guys up into combat and get them some better saves. So all he needs is a 6, and he just missed it, 5. Now it's worth noting that the other hero wizard that was on the other side, he can't unbind that. He had his 1 unbind for the turn, so there was no danger of that being unbound. So now we're going to go into the movement phase. And we're going to creep this sucker up just a little bit here. Let's see. Then we're going to move these 2 groups up. We're not going to run them because we're going to try to charge them this phase to get them into melee combat. We have to keep them out of range. I don't know if you can see, there's guys over there that we have to keep them outside of 3 inches. You have to stay outside of 3 inches until you charge. So we're going to move these up a little bit. Just kind of pack them in there. Then I'm going to use the short edge of this just to make sure they're outside of 3. I can move them up just a little bit more, but I'm just going to move them up and just say they're outside of 3, and we'll figure out the exact distance later. Then we'll move these guys up 5, and he's there. So they've moved up, ready to charge. In this case, I think I'm going to have him hang back a bit, let these guys move up a little bit, because he's got some command abilities that he can do during shooting as well as during the combat phase. So we're going to move these guys up first. We'll move this guy up slightly just to make some room for them. Then we'll move them up 5. Then, of course, our friend down here, the Ballista in the forest, is staying put. He does actually have line of sight over there on those fellas right there. So we're going to go to the shooting phase. And you've got sort of an angle of what the Ballista can see there. Now, the Ballista has a very interesting attack. Now, if it was within 18 inches of the target, it'd be able to roll 4 dice. But since it's within 30, it's going to roll 1. Now, you can choose if it's within either. But right now, we're just going to roll 1 die. This hits on a 3-up, but if it gets a hit, that creates D6 hit. So let's see if we get a hit. Oh, of course not. But if we'd done the other attack, these are gonna hit on 5-ups. And so that one would be hit, but that would be D6 hits, and then you roll that many wounds and so on. So it kind of explodes a little bit, but we missed. Now we're gonna have the castigators take some shots over here at that group with the chain rasp horde over there. They've got a clear shot there. You can see they each get 1 attack, but the prime, who's the fella here with the gold shoulder pad there, he gets to hit on a 2+ instead of a 3+. So the one ability here with the castigators here is they can actually choose to be more accurate or have more rend. Now rend is going to reduce the target's save, but all of these are ghosts, and rend, they ignore rend, so it doesn't matter if we do that. So now we're going to do re-rolling hit rolls of 1 instead of the rend thing. So let's go ahead and roll. Oh, and then the other thing to consider here is the prime guy, which is this fella here with the little gold thing there. So he actually hits on a 2+ instead of a 3+. So here's our 2 regular guys, and then here's our prime. We're going to roll that. We're re-rolling 1s now. Which we didn't need because they all got 3s, so those will all hit. Now we have to roll the wound, so we've made contact. Now we're going to roll the wound. We need 3s to do that. And so these 2 miss, but this one is a hit here. And this one has a rend of -1, doesn't matter because it's a ghost. There's no armor on it. And then this will do 1 damage. Now we're going to roll the save on the chain rasp horde itself, and they have a 5-up save because they're relatively weak. So they need a 5 or 6 to save. And then they miss that, and that's a 1 damage attack. So we'll go ahead and plop this sucker off here. So it did 1 damage. Those are 1 wound models. So 1 damage will kill 1 guy. So we got some damage. Now we're gonna roll off some charges. So first we're gonna roll for those sequitors there, 2d6. Ooh, so they got a 3, that's no good. So I'm gonna spend a command point to re-roll that. So I'm gonna roll again. So that's 7, so that should be enough. Yeah, they'll be just barely making it there. So we're going to move him up there. I think we could try to charge him, but I'm going to go ahead and leave him hanging back. So now first we're going to charge for the evocators, up here front, and then the sequitors behind there. Now they are within range of, there's a leader sitting up there. Let's go ahead and roll their charge. That's a 2. We'll go ahead and spend another command point to roll them as well. Oh, that's 11. That's more than enough. So that's going to give them enough to get into contact with this fella, which may or may not turn out to be a good thing. These guys in back there. So they got a 3. And I'm just going to double check. They are within 6 inches of that hero there. So I get a chance to re-roll that. And I'll spend that command point. So that gives them a 9. That should be plenty. Yep, and that's more than enough to get them tucked in there, at least one of them. And so the order we fight in this case is actually going to matter a fair bit as I kind of use the pile in there. So that's all the charges. So now we're going to go into the combat phase, and whoever's turn it is, in this case the Stormcast, gets to pick a unit to attack with first. So it kind of depends. I can pick these evocators here. They're going to do a little bit more damage, and I can kind of get them moved and squeezed around a little bit to make more room for these guys to get in, because you need to get range with your weapons to be able to touch the other bases there. I've also got that unit of sequitors over there, and I might pick them first. But I think what I'm going to do is choose this unit of 3 evocators, and when you do that, you choose a unit and they can pile in up to 3 inches. So I'm going to use the short edge here, and we're going to get them around some fellas here. So when you pile in, you have to end closer, or at least as close to whatever the closest model is to you now. So this guy is pretty close to them, so I'm just going to scoot him around there. That'll just allow one of these guys to be able to pile in and get an extra attack there on his combat phase. So they're going to pile in. Now he's within range there, although I might have moved him outside of an inch there. Shouldn't have done that. Wouldn't move that too far, like that. And so he's going to be able to get some attacks in on this fella. And then these 2, this one could attack either that group there or this guy, because he's within range of both. And then he could attack them. So I'm going to spend 2 of these guys going into this hero, and then this guy going into there. Now he's the prime, so he gets an extra attack. So we're going to do him first. So normally they get 4 attacks. He's going to get 5. Then he needs 3s to hit and 3s to wound. So we're going to do that. So he gets 2 misses, 3s to wound. So those are 3 hits. Now these stalkers have a 4-up save. And so that's 1's going to get through, but they're within proximity to a hero there. And so they get a 6-up deathless minion save on top of that, but they fail that. And we'll go ahead and just pluck the one in the back, because these are also 1 wound models. Then we'll resolve the attacks of these 2 fellows here against the hero. So it's going to be 4 attacks each. hitting on 3s, and that's all hits. And then we're gonna get 3s again to wound. So that's 5 wounds. And he's got his 4-up save with his 6-up Deathless Minion. So he fails 1. And then he gets a 6-up. Oh, and he got that one too. So he gets away unscathed. So this unit has it activated. Now the Nighthaunt gets to turn because this is alternate activating in the combat phase. Now we don't need to necessarily activate him right now because he's safe. He's not in any danger from these guys. We can activate these here to attack back on the Sequitors. Or we could go over here, which is what I think we'll do. And we're going to activate this group here of the Chain Rasp Horde. And we're going to do the pylon. So again, we're going to move your 3 inches. So we get all of them in there except for 1. So that's 3, 6, 8. That's going to be 16 attacks total on 4s. I need 4s to wound. They would normally reroll 1s, but they don't have 10 or more models. But either way, they get their 6 hits. And there's no rend on those. Now the Sequitors, you can see, have a 4-up save, but they have a shield, so they can reroll 1s to save. Those are 4-ups, rerolling 1s. We got 3 1s. Good thing we had that. Take these 3s out. And so that was 3 hits. I don't know why I took those out. So they got 3 through, 3 saved. So these are 2 wound models each. And so we're going to take out, we'll take out one of the shields here. Then we'll go ahead and just mark this other guy here with 1 wound remaining, because you always got to apply all the wounds to one guy, then the next guy, the next guy. So I'm going to leave the extra non-wounds on the guy with the big hammer and the extra attack. So it's back to the Stormcast to be able to attack. And so I don't have to pick this unit because they're fine. They're not going to get attacked anymore. But these guys are in danger of being attacked. So we're going to bunch him in there like that. These big mace hammers here only have a 1-inch range. So this guy is going to just kind of doodle along there in the back. He's not going to be able to get his attacks in. So these 2 are going to attack. Now this is the prime, so we do get some of the extra attack in. We're just going to throw all of our weight into those little ghosts there. And then 3 attacks from the other guy. I don't have a big mace on the other one. So this is just going to be this many attacks, and we're going to roll in 3s. And that's 1 miss. And then we're just going to wound on 3s. So that's 1. These are 1 damage each. And those guys have a 4-up save, ignoring the rend. So we're going to take another one out. Oh, but they get the 6-up Deathless Minion because there's a guy there. Nope. And again, we're just going to pop off 1 here in the back like so. Okay, so we're going to just attack back with this unit here, and they're just going to bunch in. So they're going to get all 3 of them attacking, and I think what we're going to do is we'll do 2 in here towards the Evocators, and then the 1 guy will go in here towards the Sequitors. So we'll do the guy in the Sequitors first, just the 2 attacks. Misses both. That's easy. And then the other 2 will go into Evocators, and where they're hitting on 4s, by the way, and so that's 2 hits. Then we're looking 3s to wound. There's 1 wound. They've got a 4-up save and don't get it. So we'll just go ahead and plop a wound on this guy right there. Now we're going to activate these Sequitors here. Last Stormcast unit to attack. So we got the guy with the shield and the guy with the big hammer, and he's the prime. So he's got a little bit something different. If he hits on 6s, then we get a little special thing. So he's going to get the 3 hits off of him, and then here is the 2 attacks off the normal guy. These are both wanting 3s. We want to see blue 6s, and we got 1, and so these are misses. And then, so that's going to explode to D3 hits. So that's another 2 hits, or 2 hits total. And so these are both going to, these will have rend and do 2 damage, but the rend doesn't matter. So these are both looking for 3s though. And so we got all of those. Now these are 2 damage each, and then these are, what's 1 damage? So we got to do the saves. So these are 5-up saves. They miss them all. Now, are they within range? Yeah, they are within 12. So these are 2 damage each. So I need to do the Deathless Minion, because you do that based on the damage. So you're going to roll a die for each damage that's applied. So I'm looking for 6s to block all of that. Let's see if I get any. And I got no 6s there. So that's going to be 5 damage. That's going to be 5 dead models off that unit there. Yeah, so I'm just going to cave off these 5 here. So the last unit to attack with here is going to be the Executioner. And so he's got some decent attack ability. So he gets 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s, but if I wound on a 6, I get something cool. So there's 2 hits there. And we're going to wound. Ah, there we go. So we got that one. So that is, we add 2 to the damage characters. That's actually going to do 3 damage, but we do get a chance to save it. And they have a 4-up save, which of course they fail. Oops, that was a 1. I changed it to a 6. So that's that. So that's going to be 3 damage. So that's enough to do 1-2 damage, which will take him out. Then we've got 1 floating damage, which will just move over to him. So now we're going to check Battle Shock. So we're going to check Battle Shock for these guys. Now, if you lost any models in your unit, you're going to try for Battle Shock. You're going to take the number of models that you lost, in this case 1 for the Evocators, and then you're going to take a look at the Bravery here. Then you roll a d6. So let's say I roll a 6. I would add the number of models lost, which would be 1. So even if I roll a 6, in that case it would go up to a 7, then I wouldn't beat my Bravery. So if I lost, like, let's say 6 models and I rolled a 4, then that would be 10. So I would take the difference between what I rolled plus the models I lost and then have to have that many more models flee. But in this case, I only lost 1. So even if I rolled a 6, I'd get a 7. So they're fine. They're gonna hang out. And the Stormcast can re-roll Battle Shock rolls. That's one of their special abilities they get for the Allegiance. Or I should say Order gives that. I don't know what the Stormcast one is, I forget. I think it's similar. So they're fine. The Glaive Wraith Stalkers back here, they lost 2 guys, but they've got a Bravery of 4 because they're undead. They're not scared of anything, so they're also fine. And these Sequitors, of course, didn't lose anybody, so they're fine. Now over here, we got a different story. These guys lost a guy. Now their normal Bravery here is a 7, but remember what I said about the special terrain? So this terrain feature is giving -1 Bravery. So they have a Bravery of 6. So let's go ahead and roll their Battle Shock. So it's d6 plus 1. So there's a problem. So that's 6 plus 1. That's 7. Normally they would be okay. They have a Brave 7, but that's been reduced to 6 because of the terrain. So they have 7 on 6. That means they're going to lose a guy. However, there's a couple things that I can actually do. They're within 12 inches here of my general. So I could spend a command point just to have them ignore Battle Shock rolls altogether. Or I can go ahead and re-roll the Battle Shock, because again, they're the friendly order allegiance. So I'm going to go ahead and re-roll this, and hope we don't get a 6. Oh, so see, we're good. So we were fine on anything except a 6 in that case. So we got our Stormcast re-roll, so we're okay. That's better than spending a command point. Now these fellas here, we lost, let's see, we've got 4 left, so we've lost 6. They have a Bravery of 10, -1, so they're at 9. So if they roll anything more than a 3, they're going to lose guys, but I think they're within range of their general. So they rolled a 4. So that means they would lose 1 guy. Now I could spend a command point because they're within 12 inches of their general there. At least I think they are. Let's check. Because I did lose the guys. I think they're fine. But I know these guys on the edge were within 12 inches. Fine. They're definitely within 12 inches. So I could spend a command point just to keep them losing 1 extra guy. And I'm not going to do that because I'm going to try to bring some back. So I'm going to go ahead and let one of these guys go, because I don't want to waste the command point just yet. So we just had the 1 Chain Rasp Horde flee, and that's the Battle Shock phase. And we're going to go into turn 2 for the Nighthaunt. So they're going to get a command point to start their turn. So they've got 3 now. And we're going to go into the hero phase. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is, you can see this guy kind of tucked back in here. He's going to go ahead and cast a heal on this unit right there. So unit within 18 inches on a 6. So we try to get 6. We got a 10. We could try to stop that because we can see the general there. He's within 30. He's going to go ahead and try to top it. He's got to get an 11 or 12. Oh, so we got a 9. That was pretty close. So now he's going to heal D6. So 2 guys here, not a lot, are going to come back. And then you can kind of put these guys wherever you want. I'm just going to kind of wrap these guys still up in combat. And so now he brought them back. It would have been nice if he brought back more, but what are you going to do? So these guys are kind of, they're going to keep them locked in combat for a little bit. And then we're going to have our general here. He's going to use his command ability. It's going to add +1 attack, if you remember from the first round, to a particular unit. I'm trying to figure out who I want to do it, because it could be anybody within 18 inches. I could do it. These guys, yeah, that's not so many guys. These guys up here haven't really had a chance to see any action yet. They're pretty close. They can get a move in up on the general, maybe get some extra attacks in that way. Let me make sure that they're 18 inches. Yep, they are 18 inches for sure. Everything on the field actually is 18 inches from him. I can also do these guys here. These guys are definitely, I'm going to do these guys because there are 10 of them, and that's going to be an extra 10 attacks basically. So we're going to go ahead and mark these guys. Try not to forget that they've got that. And so they're going to have that. I've spent that command point back down to 2 for the Nighthaunt. So that's the hero phase. We're going to go into the movement phase. Again, there's no shooting for these guys. Now these guys can fly, so they can fly through these runes. I just got to keep them out of 3 inches from these fellas here. So they got plenty of room. Okay, we got them kind of bunched up here. They're within 3 inches, so they should be able to make a charge. We're going to move this fella up here. Actually, we'll see if we can't fly him through these trees and then knock him up right back in here. Underneath those trees there, I think he's outside of 3. Yeah, so he's maybe floating a little bit up in the woods there, but I'll have to do a charge of 3 there. So these guys have moved here. He's back in the trees there. We're going to go ahead and move this guy, just tuck him out of the way, out of line of sight of the castigators up there with their bows, so they don't get a shot at him on their turn. I think I feel like we should have a leader battle here. So let's keep him there. We'll keep this guy up here because he's going to maybe have to resurrect a unit. So we're going to have him shoot up his 12 over there. Yeah, let's just kind of move him and tuck him back in between like that. As long as he's 3 away. And now he's still closer than 3. Let's keep him outside 3 there. Okay, I think that's good. Oh, and then, see, these guys can't move. So obviously when you're in combat, if you want to retreat, you can, but then you can't again then charge. These guys got to move their 8 inches, and they're going to go engage up here. Yeah, and since they can fly, I can get them down through these trees. I'm just going to keep them out of 3 inches from the range unit. So here I've flown these guys down, and now they're just outside of 3. So we're going to try to get a charge off and get around the back side of these range units and try to lock them up into combat so they can only shoot back at who they're in melee with, basically. Well, so now they're in the charge phase, so we'll go ahead and just do the charge for them. So we'll see what we get here. That's 11. That's plenty. And so we're going to just skirt them around the back side here. I think we're just going to see if we can roll this and get a charge for him off. Let's see what we get. That's 5. That should be plenty to get him in there. Let's see where we can get him to. Yeah, we can just float him right down here like that. And now these guys here are just outside of 3. So let's see what we got. They got 11. So that's more than enough. I got to figure out who they want to attack. See, now they could actually get up here and attack this hero now. 11 does give them range up to here. That's a real interesting decision because this guy, he's pretty brutal sometimes. Now he does get a thing where he can pop off and do a bunch of mortal wounds back to them. So I don't know, should I go after that hero, get rid of these sec orders, clear these guys out? I feel like I should maybe help out over here, get this kind of mess cleaned up, and then worry about going after this guy, because then this objective over here will be easy pickings down over here if everybody's still alive. I think that's better to just go and help out. Okie dokie, so they swarmed all these guys. They can get hits in on the sec orders and on the evocators as well. So all the charges are done. Now as the Nighthaunt player has the initiative, they get the first choice of attacks. I think we're going to go ahead and attack with this unit here of 10 because they get their reroll 1s because they've got 10 or more, and they got the +1 attack there. So that's going to be 30 attacks rerolling 1s. And let's see, you got to choose, I haven't clarified this, but you got to choose who you're giving the attacks out and then roll them. You don't get to like pick a guy, roll some attacks, and then pick again. You got to commit all at once because it's kind of a simultaneous type of thing. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 can go into the sec orders, and I can have 5 go into the other guys. That seems good enough. So I'll do a split there. So that's 15 attacks, rerolling 1s. Got some 1s there, and then 4s again to wound. So their save is a 4-up, rerolling 1s because they got shields. And look, they saved 3 of them. So 1 gets 3, that's 1 damage. Remind me that's on the back shield later. Now we got the guys going into evocators, 15, rerolling 1s, 4s again. And the evocators get a 4-up save, not rerolling 1s. So that's 2 hits going through. And I've got a damage on this guy, if you remember, so that's enough to take him out. So that's good. We softened them up. And so now we got the Stormcast get a chance to attack. We could have the Soul Evocator attack and get some hits in on either of these groups. Do the sec orders there. That might be the best call. We've got the 2 sec orders over there fighting a couple of groups. That's a tough call. Oh, we also have this group of castigators here dealing with them. Now, they're not good at melee. I don't know if I should just write them off. We're going to have these 2 sec orders here. Try to get some hits in on the general there, just because I want to try to soften him up a little bit if I can. So we've got the 3 hits from the Prime on the big mace, and then the little guy with the maul, both hitting on 3s. Although we want a 6 on the blues. Oh, we got 1 6. Those are misses. This is going to do D3 hits. So it's just extra hit there. So these are going to wound on 3s both. And that's a miss. That's a hit. So that's 1 and 2 damage. So we're going to try to save those. Now the Knight of Shrouds there's got a 4-up save. So we're trying to do that. And it makes them both. Okay, so we've had Nighthaunts are going to go. These guys have attacked. These three could attack. He could pile in an attack. He's definitely within 3 inches there. None of these guys have attacked yet. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with these stalkers there. And they are going to pile in. He's just going to jump in here. So we're going to have 2 attacks going into, or 2 characters attacking that, and then 1 guy going into the Sequitors. Sequitors first. 4 up. Got it. 3 up. Got 1. So 4 up, rerolling 1s to save. Got it. And then these go into the evocators. So it's 4s. 3s. Gets 1. Evocator gets 4 up. Misses. So that's only 1 damage. Yeah, so at this point I didn't realize what I was doing. I actually sealed it off so this guy can't move in. So that was my mistake. I wasn't paying attention. So these guys don't have to worry about attacking with them anymore because both these units have attacked. He can't get in anymore. A little bit of a tactical error there on the side of Nighthaunt. So we're going to move over here. And we haven't attacked with the Castigators yet. So we're just going to go ahead and kind of pile in. Move him over 3 inches. These guys get 2 attacks each for a total of 6. They're going to hit on 4s, wound on 4s. Here's some wounds. There's 1 wound. That's a 4-up save. They got it. They're fine. So while we're here, these guys will attack back. So these guys actually have kind of 2 weapons. They have the slashers and the death knells. Now you're supposed to do the slashers first and then the death knells. And the death knells have a special ability if they slay any models, and then they start to allocate more wounds. That's kind of that bell there. So we've got the 3 guys with death knells. That's going to be 6 attacks. So we're looking for 4s and then 3s. 3s. And those are -1 rend. So that's going to take their 4-up save to a 5-up. So basically reducing their save by 1. So they need 5s. They got 1. And that's going to do 1 damage. These guys are 2 wounds each. Then we're going to do the death knell. The death knell wants a 3. Got a 3. Got another 3 to wound. That's that. That's a -1 rend. So and again a 5-up save. That's a miss. And so that does 2 damage. So we're going to do 1 damage here. Like that. And the next damage will go here. Now after you've done that, if you've killed any models, you get to do another mortal wound, which we're going to go ahead and put on this guy. And then I'll kill him too. That's the special ability there of the death knell. If you slay anything with the death knell, a model disappears, then you get to inflict another mortal wound on anything within 3 inches. So now we're going to go ahead. I'm just going to go ahead and resolve attacks for both of these since the order is not going to matter at this point because everything's attacked on this side. And then I'll do both of the Nighthaunt units that are over there. Technically you go back and forth, but in this case it's not going to make a difference. So we'll do the Sequitors first. These 2 are going to go into this large group. I like to thin that down. And then this guy's just going to jump into the stalkers. All right, so this guy's looking for 3s. Nothing. So that was quick. Then we're going to have these 2 guys go into the large group. Oh, actually, that guy got an extra attack because he's the prime. Oh, he did get hit there. So now 3's a wound. Oh, there we go. So that's going to do 1 damage on the stalkers. They got a 4-up save. That's a miss, but they were close to heroes. They need a 6. Okay, so that's going to kill off a stalker. So good thing I rolled that extra hit. So we'll just have him go bye-bye. Now we're going to do these 2 into the large group. So we've got 2 of the normal maul, and then the great mace is the blue one. Both on 3s and 3s. So that's a miss. These are looking for 3s. Oof, those are misses. And then this guy is, let's see, that's a 5-up save on them. Miss it, but he gets the 6-up. Then we got to get rid of one of these guys, so we're going to pull this guy off. And then we're going to go ahead and do the evocator. We're going to do him into the big group as well. Just whittle them down a bit. 4 attacks, 3s. Oop, 3s again. That's a miss. -1 rend, doesn't matter. So these are 5-up save. Save that, and we got our 2 6-ups. So just 1. He'll kill another one. Then let's peel it off the end because you can take it from wherever you want in that unit. So that's all the attacks there. Then we're going to do both Nighthaunt units at the same time. The order here might actually matter in terms of... No, it doesn't matter. Let's do the general first. He hasn't got to attack anybody yet. Now he does have an ability that will heal him when he does hits with his sword, but he doesn't have any wounds anyway, so no big deal. He's going to have 4 attacks, 3s and 3s. Whoop, he's no good. And then a 3. And that's a miss. Then the hooves of the horse are going to do it. This is 4s and 5s. Oh, we got it. That's just 1 damage. And they're going to do 4-ups, rerolling 1s because they still got a shield. and they block it. So we're going to do the rest of these guys. So there's 8 of them. No, there's 5 of them. So 10 attacks on 4s. I got 2. So it could be 4 up, 3 rolling 1s. So I got 1 in this one. So that's going to be that last bit of damage, which is this floating bit here. He's going to take him out. So no more shields. And that is combat. So now we're going to do Battle Shock. We didn't actually lose any Chain Rasp hordes there. We did lose the 1 Sequitur. Remember, they're down to 6. So if I get a 6 on this, the other guy will run away. He's fine. Castigators have a Bravery 7, but they lost 2 guys. So a 6 would actually make the other one flee. Oh, so the Evocators lost a guy, but they're Bravery 8, so they're okay. These guys lost, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So they lost 3, but they're Bravery 10. So even if I rolled a 6, that would only add up to a 9, so they're okay. I did lose 2 of these guys. These are the Glaive Wraith Stalkers, but they also have a Bravery of 10, so they are fine. So that is the end of Battle Round 2. This will come off. We're going to go to Battle Round 3, and then we're going to roll now. Blue for Stormcast, white for Nighthaunt, and whoever gets higher, ooh, in that case, the Nighthaunt will get to choose, and they will, of course, go first, so they can activate some of their command abilities and possibly heal some of these units and so on. Okay, so we'll start a Nighthaunt Turn 3, and actually, before, this is a slight takes you back. See, this guy here, the Spirit Torment, who is tucked in, I'll just grab him from here, he's back here underneath this thing. If he says 3 or more models were slain, in which we were, we had the 2 Castigators, and we had 1 of the Evocators was slain. And we had another Sequitur over here. So let's find this here. You can pick a friendly Nighthaunt model within 6 inches, heal D3 wounds. If 3 or more Stormcast Eternals were slain, which we happen to be playing against, heal 3 wounds instead of D3 wounds. So, a couple of things to do here. We could apply that heal to this unit here to bring it back up. We only need 2 guys to bring it back, so we're going to get it automatically back. We could also heal these here. And so we had, how many of those guys were there? That would bring all of them back as well. Let's do this unit here. So this is going to bring 3 of these back. We'll just tuck them right back in there. So we plop them back in there. And then now, at the start of the turn, we're going to have this guy here cast his healing spell. And so he needs a 6 up to cast that. And he's going to do it on the other unit that was there. So that's a 9, but that can be unbound or dispelled. So that guy up there is close enough. You can see the other caster there. And the other guy, I think, is within 30 either way. So he's going to cast that on there. So they need a 10 to beat that. Missed that. So we're going to roll this one. D6 guys back. We just need a 2. And we got a 6, so that's all of them. Plop one of these guys back there. So both of these units here now are up to full strength. And then we're just going to tuck, this other one back here, like so. And then now we're going to use this guy's command point to get the +1 attack. I did just give myself back to 3 command points. I'm going to spend that, go back down to 2. And you can see why this double turn here is going to be powerful, because I can reset that up on anybody that's within 18 inches. Yeah, so he can get all the way back over to that same group there and go ahead and spend that. Oh, but you know what? I don't think these guys are wholly within 18 inches anymore, because things have moved on since then. Let's see. Well, I put this guy out. If I just tuck him into slightly bit, he's just out. So I'm going to go ahead and just do that, because I wasn't quite measuring for that when I resurrected him. And we're still in the hero phase, so I'm going to allow it. So they can get their +1 back. And then we're in the movement phase. Everybody's pretty much locked into combat here, except for these 2 fellas. This guy I'm just going to kind of scooch around that way, keep him safe. Now, see, these guys are pretty well surrounded here. These guys can move 6 inches. I could fly them and run them. I don't know that I want to do that. I think they should stay in here. They're just not really doing any good. So he's not going to move. He can't move anywhere. This guy, though, I can move him 6 up to here. And then that gives him a, let's see, 7-inch charge from there. Yeah, he wants to make that charge because he's in line of sight now of this ballista over there. But we'll take that risk. He's not going to shoot at him this turn. All right, so that is movement there's not really any charges other than this fella right here to try to charge. Like I said, it needs 7 inches. We'll roll that. Oh, we got our 7. And the reason that's 7 again is because he can fly. If he had to actually climb that up, then it would be a much different story. All right, this is going to be a little tricky. Just for fun, I'm going to take and move these guys both up on top of there, just because of the balance issues. Now, there's no shooting from the Nighthaunt, so we can go right into combat phase. So, I don't know. It's kind of a tough decision. I'd like to have this guy attack, but again, we have this group here that's got our extra attacks. Now, he's a little stinker because he's got this little thing he could pop off and do 3 mortal wounds and all this stuff. So he's got to choose now, actually, because once you're in combat with him or the general of the Stormcast, they have this ability. They can drink a potion. They can drink 1, 2, or 3 sort of levels of it. If they drink 3, it'll do 3 mortal wounds to him, or her, I should say, and 3 mortal wounds to this guy at the start of the combat phase. So does he want to do that? So I'm going to say he's not going to drink it, because then it's going to knock him down 3 and him down 3. Nighthaunt gets the first choice to fight, but does Nighthaunt then choose this guy to attack, or does he choose his +1 attack rerolling 1s to attack? Ooh. Do you put that decision on the Nighthaunt? This is an interesting thing, right? Because if he attacks first, then he might die. And then if he doesn't attack first and attacks with his big group, then he can attack and he might die. I don't know. I think that's an easy call not to do that because there's a lot of stuff going on here, so I'm not going to drink it. And then I think as a Nighthaunt player, it's still a tough decision because do I pull him off or let him attack first? So he's not going to drink it because you're going to do that at the beginning of the phase before anybody attacks. He's not going to drink it. And then the Nighthaunt player is going to roll all this stuff up. So he's going to get his 30 attacks, rerolling 1s because there's 10 guys now. So we can go 2, 4, 5 into these 3 guys, and we could do 2, 4, 5 into him, or we could do 3 into him because he's only got 1 wound, and then we could do 1 wound so far, and then we could do 7 into these guys because they're close enough. So let's do that. We're going to do 7 into here and 3 into there. So that's going to be 21 attacks. The blue dice mean nothing. So those on 4s. Rerolling 1s, 4s. Oof, we got a bunch of attacks of that. So there's a 4s again. And then the save. And these are against the Sequitors because they got the shields. So it's 4s rerolling 1s on the save. 4s rerolling 1s. So that's 2 misses on save. So this was applied to him, so he's a goner. And then we'll just send it over here to the other shield, the other floating wound. So 1 wound to kill him because he had a wound, or her, and then the other wound will float over to him. So it could have been a lot worse, but they saved very, very well. But now as a Stormcast player, this is the tricky thing. Do I have them attack? I think they're done for. I think let's get this guy a fighting chance. So we're going to come over here, and we're going to give her a chance to fight him. Because we don't just want to give him the first attack. So she's going to fight him. And I just realized I forgot she can automatically unbind a spell. So that where I healed these guys back up, I probably should have done an automatic unbind on her. Because in this case, she was close enough. But hey, I forgot. But just we want to keep that in mind. So hopefully she's around for a turn and I get to actually do that. So she's going to do her attack. She gets 3 attacks. Hitting on 3s and wounding on 3s. Does a lot of damage though. There we go. Just going to wound on 3s. Gets them all. And these are D3 damage, so we're going to save these first. So he's got a 4-up save. Misses them all. These are all D3 damage, though. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4 damage, but he gets his Deathless Minion, so 6s will block the damage. And doesn't block any of it, so that's 4. Doesn't quite kill him because he's got 5 wounds. So he's got 4 wounds on him. 1 more, and he will be a goner. So I almost maybe I should have popped instead of, because in my head I was thinking, do I pop 0 or do I pop 3? I could have maybe popped a 1, and then that would have been even more interesting of a decision. But oh well, that's the way it goes. Because if she'd have popped 1, she'd have a mortal wound and he would be dead. In this case, let's go over here and do the Glaive Wraith Stalkers. We can get, let's see, what's the reach on their weapons? Okay, yeah, these guys actually have a 2-inch reach. So these 3 can get at them. And then these 3 can get at him. Yeah, he can also, I can have 4 go into this guy, or 4 go into this guy. or 3 and 2, or how do I want to divide that up? I tell you what, what's bothering me here is the Nighthaunt player is the bodies. So I'm going to send 4 into here and then 1 guy into that. So try to clear out some room so we can start moving forward up here. So first we're going to do the 4. This would be a total of 8 attacks into the sequitors on 4s. And then 3s to wound. Okay, that's all wounds. And then we get the 4-up saves, re-rolling 1s because they got a shield. There's that. So that's 3 they miss. So that was good. That's going to get rid of that whole unit there. And then the 1 guy is going to go in there with his a couple of attacks. So again, 4s, that's 3s, and then saves of just a 4. He got it. And the Stormcast don't have a whole lot of options here. He could attack. He's fine. I mean, he's going to die soon, but you know, everybody around him is attacked. She's already attacked there. This Castigator might get to pop off a wound or something on these guys. And then up here, this guy could pile in down here and try to pop off a wound on the general. So let's go ahead and do that. He's got his big mace. He's going to pile in and try to jack him up. Since he's the prime, he gets the extra attack on 3s. Yeah, another 3. Nope, nothing. So the only group that really matters for the Nighthaunt is these guys, because that's the only thing that is vulnerable to being attacked back. Yes, it's only a Castigator, but let's go ahead and do that. Now we want to pile them in a little bit so we can get this Death Knell in range. So we want to scooch them around a little bit because he's just out. Let's see, is he outside of 2 inches? Oh no, he's still in range, so we don't have to scooch anybody. So they've all got range, and we want to keep him out of the 3 inches there. Because then he can get a chance to pile in and attack them back. We would like not to do that until it's his turn to move. So they're all going to attack him. He's probably, I might just pull the model, but let's roll it out. So we're going to get our 6 attacks on 4s. Here we go. So 4s and 3s. Yeah, he's come off. 3s. Okay, that's why we roll them up. And these are -1 Ren, so that's going to be a 5-up. Whoops. They need 2 5-ups. They fell in both, so he's dead. So I could have just pulled the model and saved us some time, but there we go. So they're wiped out. And the only Stormcast that's available to do any sort of attacking is our lone Evocator here. And so let's go ahead and roll him up. So he gets 4 attacks, 3s and 3s. Oh, and he's doing it into the big group. I didn't say. 3s. He misses them all anyway, because I forgot. That's karma. Anyway, so he misses all that stuff. And so now we've just got a couple of Nighthaunt attacks to do. So first, whoops, we're going to go over to here and have him attack back and punish that wizard for being so mean. I forgot he's got to reroll 1s. It hasn't really mattered. They got to be wholly within 12 inches. Would that have mattered? Nope, because the other group already had reroll 1s. But it would have mattered for the other guys. That's okay. I forgot that ability. He gets to reroll 1s if they're wholly within 12 inches. But now he's going to get 3 attacks on 4s. And he's going to reroll his own 1s. So those are 2 misses and 2 hits, and 3s to wound. There, and these are -2 rend. So that's going to take a 3-up save to a 5-up, which is nothing in their D3 damage. So that's 4 damage, which is going to put her at 4 damage, and she also has 5 wounds, so they're each at 1 wound left right now. So the only combat available are these 2 units, the leader here and then these, but I'm going to do these first, because if he kills them, then these guys don't get to pile in, and I want them to pile in because I want them to get a little bit of movement. Because it's a little bit of movement, but I do want them coming this direction. So 2 attacks each, so on 4s, and nice. 4s again. That. So this is going to be a 4-up save because he's got no shields, and he blocks them all except for 1, so he gets 1 damage on him. Whoops. So I could just pick that model up, but I'm not going to, because that guy is he's acting as sort of a blocker. So if for some reason he really rolled poorly, that's going to keep them locked up theoretically for another turn. So I'm going to roll it out. So we get 4 attacks first on his there on 4s, no 3s. This is a sword, so 3s to wound. Those are -1 rend. So that's going to go to a 5-up. And he got them both. There we go. That's why we roll it. So these are going to be 4s. And he misses. So he's still alive. That's why we don't pick the model up. Because now he's something we gotta deal with. He's there, he's holding tough. And that's all of the combat. There is no battle shock because anybody that had models lost had their whole unit deleted, which would happen to the sequitors there behind that. So battle shock phase, we do have this Guardian of the Souls ability, and I don't think we lost. Did we lose 3? We did lose 3 because, okay. So that's the end of Nighthaunt Turn 3. We're going to go to Stormcast Turn 3. Hopefully they can get a little bit of revenge and get their general a little bit busy. He's been kind of slacking. And this ballista right over there has probably got, I know it's got some range on somebody, so we're going to pop some shots off with that for sure. So no command abilities, but he's going to go ahead and try to cast a Mystic Shield on himself. Now he's definitely within 30 inches of the other caster, so he needs a 6. Got it. Caster's going to try to beat that 8. Does not. So he's got Mystic Shield. Now he's re-rolling 1s in combat, which he's going to get into with these fellas here. Because he does not want them jumping back here and capping that, because that'll give them 3. Because right now it's still 2-2 because nobody's come and capped anybody else's flags there. So he could probably scooch in a little bit. He's just going to scooch in for his movement. We're going right to movement, but he's just outside 3. Actually, I forgot the Knight Incanter here. She's got her own spell, Spirit Storm, which makes some sense. So we're going to do that on a 7. She's over here on a 7. She's going to do a mortal wound to that fella. It's also going to reduce the run and charge rolls by 1 of units within 18 inches. But she needs a 7. So she got a 9, and there's nobody else around to unbind that because we already tried to unbind it. So she's going to go ahead and just do the mortal wound to him, which is good because he just healed back to full health. And now we're going to go into the shooting phase. So we're going to go back down here to our friendly ballista, which has done absolutely nothing this whole game and needs to get on the ball. So let's do a little bit of line of sight checking. So here we have a little bit of a view of the ballista, hiding out like a bunch of punks in these trees. Now, I looked at it, they can't really see that guy. I'm going to say they can't shoot him because he's basically being blocked by their buddy. They can see these guys clearly down there. Remember, these guys are at full 10, so that might be a good shot. And they can definitely see those Folios right there. And they're going to be within 18 inches, so they get their extra shots. So the question is, do I pump all the shots in there? Do I pump all the shots over to there? Do I split them? You're only hitting on 5, so I feel like I should dump them in to one particular unit. So I feel like I'm going to let the general kind of take charge over there. That feels like a mistake now that I said it out loud. But this side of the table is not going well. So we're just going to dump everything into this. And we're going to try to thin that sucker down because that's causing us a lot of havoc. So we're going to pump 4 shots, hitting on 5s. But every hit is D6 hits. So we're going to roll these. Give me some 5s. 1 5 or 6. That's D6 hits. 6 hits. That's pretty good. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now these are wounding on 3s. I have 2 Ren, which means nothing against ghosts. So we're going to get 4 hits. And these are only 1 damage each. So we're going to do a save of 5 up on those ghosts. Then they'll get their 6 up. Oh, look at those jerks. Save 2, get the 6 up. Because there's a hero there. So 2 of them die. Oh well. So we'll just pop these 2 off here. Well, yeah, these 2 aren't fighting anybody. We'll pop them off. But you can see the potential there. If I got a couple of hits and like 12 hits with the D6, it's pretty random and wild, but you can do some damage with it. So now we're going to go to the charge phase. And he's got to make a 3-inch charge. And of course he does. That's a 9. Let's just barrel him right in here. Flat against those guys. So he's got his 3-inch charge, and that's all the charges that there is. So now we're going to go to combat. So, okay, he's got his thing where he can drink, and then he can also do the mortal wounds there. And I've also got the thing in him that allows me to heal at the start of the hero phase. One thing, and I might get the next hero phase. But these guys only have 1 wound. These guys are really kind of, they're nice, but they're also cheapy. So he's going to pop 1. So he's going to apply a mortal wound to himself, and then that's going to kill off one of these guys. So he's got a wound. That's start of combat phase. But then we have the same decision to make here. Now, if he does 1, he's dead, right? But if I do 3, that will put him back to 1 life, but he will be dead. I don't know that I want to do that. Let's do that. I'm going to pop the 3. So he's dead. He's going to die. And then this guy will have 1 wound. So we've got 1 Stormcast model that's been killed. I just don't... I need to keep 2 more from dying. That's not going to happen. Because I've got a guy over there with 1 wound. And then a guy way over there, behind there, with 1 wound. So yeah, forget what I said. That's stupid. Because those guys are dying. He's just going to heal them back up. So he's there. He's not going to do it. But what he is going to do... Or she, I keep saying she is going to attack first. So he gets her 3 attacks, hitting on 3s, wounding on 3s. Okay, good. 3. That's a miss. These are D3 damage, so it's a 4-up save though. Gets the 1, that's D3 damage. 3 damage. Gets a 3 deathless minion 6-up damage save. Of course, blocks 1, so that's 2 damage onto this guy, so that's pretty good. Got him down a little bit. But now he just has to sit there, and then the Nighthaunt's going to attack. Of course, we're going to go over here, and then they're going to get these attacks in like so. So, yeah, it doesn't really matter the order. So we're going to do 4 attacks there. Here's the Death Knell attack. I don't think any of them are going to kill, so that's fine. So these are, whites are on 4s, blues on the 3. These all miss anyway, so this needs to wound on a 3. That's a miss anyway. So I'm going to go ahead and attack with him, just try to thin out this unit. So he's going to get his 4 attacks on that large unit there. So 4 attacks on 3s. 3s. It's a 5-up save. Miss, 6-up. Kills 1. So back to Nighthaunt. We'll do this group here. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. So we got 10 attacks. These are on 4s. All of them are going into... Oh, I can't quite reach. The other guy can't reach, so I'm going to drop 2 attacks out of that. 8 attacks. 4s. 4s again. Yep. So he gets his 4-up save. Gets it. Okay. And then he's the only Stormcast that has an attack that matters so far. So he's going to go ahead and hit back on... Let's try to thin out that unit a little bit, actually. So he's the prime. He does get an extra attack. So he's going to hit on 3s and 3s. Of course not. 3. So that's going to be a 5-up save. And they get it. So back to Nighthaunt. Doesn't really matter, so we'll just do the leader there. So 4 attacks on 3s. Got them all. Wounds on 3s. Missed the 1. -1 rends. That goes to a 5-up. He misses any of these, he's dead. He missed 1, he's dead. So back to Stormcast. This guy now gets to attack with all his goodies. Yeah, actually, I'm just realizing his special ability is actually to prevent a Stormcast model from being killed. So this would be a good time to do that. He's got a special ability. So instead of a guy dying, you can put him back with 1 hit, which I forgot to use with some of these castigators over there. And that's a huge ability because I would have kept them locked up. I almost want to stick him back, but I'm going to say that he would have just died again anyway. But I remembered this time, so that's fine. So he's going to get his attacks in on these fellas here. So let's see. So 4, 3s. That's 2. 3's to wound. That's 1. -1 rend means nothing. So 4-up save. Gets it. Then he gets the Griff Hound stuff. 3s. 3s again. Yep. And that's -2 rend, which doesn't matter. So 4-ups. Saves those 2. 1 damage. And they're going to go and just pop this guy off. Yeah, that's a really good ability there. Kept forgetting to do that, where once per turn, when a guy dies within 18 inches of him, he can bring him back to life with 1 health. So I could have done that probably here and then earlier back up there as well. So, give or take, maybe they would have just wiped him out. It is a dice game, so I don't know that it came into play that much, but it definitely, this guy over here is definitely locking them up in terms of making it down here to the objective. Now the Nighthaunts get a chance to go. I could actually probably pile in and make room over there. So let's resolve this first though. So he gets 3 attacks, 4s, he can reroll his own 1s. So that's 2 hits, 3 wounds, 3's wound. It's a -2 rend, so that's going to take him to a 5-up save. He's got a 3-up save, so that's going to go to a 5-up. Doesn't get it. That's D3 damage, but he only needs the 1 damage anyway. So he is going to die. That's the second Stormcast that's died now on this turn. And he's just going to be able to heal those wounds back up. If we kill one more, which we should be able to, unlike our leader on the other side of the board, this little group here is going to be able to get some attacks in. So let's do a little bit of pile-in magic. So we pack those guys in there. We're just going to dump all the attacks into him. So 10 attacks on 4s. Yikes. It's a lot of misses and then 3s. I got those. There's no rend on that, so he gets his 4-up save. Gets 2 of them. They're 1 damage each. That'll be enough to kill him. So he's going to die. So that is all the attacking. There's not going to be any battle shock. Well, no, there will be battle shock over here. But first, let's do this guy. Since 3 Stormcats have died, he's going to heal 3. So he's back to full health. And he is he within 6 inches there all by himself now of this? No. So this is sticking up, but I kind of measured to the ground. So there's no way. He's real close, but he's not quite within 6. But that is going to put them at a 3-1 advantage. But if we go over here, let's take a look now. These fellas here may have already captured that, but no, they're also just out of sight of 6. And remember, that tip, that point there is the center. And so they're outside 6, but they're also close enough to actually break out of that. So it's feasible. So when do you actually win? Let me see when you actually win this, because on the next turn, if the Nighthaunt gets the movement, they can move, the other guy can move, and they'll have all 4. Okay, so you have to check at the end of the player's turn. So it doesn't matter, because all he's got to do is just retreat over to here, and the other guy over here, he could just run down there. So then there's no range on, from the other player on your turn. So you've already got that moved in. So if the Nighthaunt then get the turn, then they're going to win because they're just going to move. But we got to check battle shock here. I think these guys are fine because they got a bravery of 10. I'm almost sure of it. Yeah, these guys have a bravery of 10. So even if I roll a 6, that would just put me up to an 8. So no worries on battle shock. So I guess we just roll off here. We're going into battle round 4. Stormcast blue and then Nighthaunt white. Oh, there we go. So Nighthaunt will take the turn 6-5. And then, like I said, these guys will just move down here. Hello. They're going to move right down there. They're going to claim this one. Like that. We'll just have them run if we need to, because they can move 8 anyway. And then over here, this fella's going to move down here. Whoop. Move right down there. Be close to that. These guys are out of range here. Maybe they should have moved over, but they like to sit in cover and be punks about it. So that is the game. Left these kind of wide open, and Nighthaunt kind of steamrolled through there. But let's go back to the talking head and kind of just do a sort of review recap. Okay, so that is the first battle report. That was really hard, and I'm sweating a lot. So I mean, by some way midway through it, I kind of got the hang of it. So anyway, this is the first one I've done. Hopefully it was okay. I haven't edited it yet as I'm speaking, but hope that was okay in terms of a little bit of examples of how to play. Had some ranged attack, had some magic, had some melee combat, some kind of pile-in shenanigans a little bit, some movement shenanigans a little bit. And you can see that the Nighthaunt player won by being able to sort of break around the lines of the Stormcast Eternals. They didn't really have enough sort of bodies to withstand kind of the onslaught and the summoning and the resummoning and the healing, basically, of the Guardian of Souls. He did a really good job of that. The general of the Nighthaunt didn't even have to summon back a new unit at all. The Ballista was kind of disappointing, but like I said, I actually played exactly this scenario with this basically the exact same terrain setup. In the first game, the Ballista and the Castigators just made mincemeal out of some of the units that were exposed early on as they moved around. But you kind of get to know the line of sight, and that was kind of a learning game as well, just like learning the units too. So as you can see, I'm still learning the units because I forgot to use the automatic unbind from the Invocator, and that would have been a little bit of a difference maker because I wouldn't have been able to heal back one of those units to full health, but they were only down like 2 guys, so I would have shaved off like 8 attacks or so. So that probably would have made some kind of difference. I don't know that would have actually made that much difference, but forgetting the automatic heal a guy back to life of the Stormcast General, I think that was relatively difference maker. I don't know that the Stormcast would have won in this case, just based on the shakeout of the roll and then being able to move. I don't know. I think it maybe would have made it last another turn because we're going into turn 4. It might have pushed it to turn 5. Yeah, so you can see I put a lot of terrain on the board here, so that has a big difference for the range and the shooting and everything. But I also left that ballista kind of just camped there. It didn't really, when it had a chance to operate, it didn't do a lot, but it didn't get a whole lot of chances to operate. And frankly, it doesn't need to be in cover because it can't really be attacked. So putting it in cover was kind of a mistake. I probably should have just camped it up on a hill something, or tried to move it slowly up the hill so it had a lot of range. That would have made it more of a target to go after. And, that would have drawn some of the attacking away from the more melee-oriented units. So probably putting it where I put it was a mistake. And I'm looking at the board right now. I'm thinking I could have put it right over there. It still would have been in cover technically, but it would have had a much broader view of the board. So that was a mistake on the Stormcast deployment, which is huge. I mean, deployment is a huge part of this game. So you can really kind of dissect this game. And so I played 1,000 points, right? And I played mostly 1,000 points of this. I played 2,000 points, like in some tournaments. I think 3 tournaments now, and some practice games at the shop. So probably maybe a dozen 2,000 point games, 9, maybe like 10, 11 2,000 point games. And it's a whole other kind of ball of wax with 2,000 points. I like the 1,000 points with this because it's sort of like, it's weird. It's in between a skirmish game, which you've got like 10 models at most, or like 4 or 5 sometimes, and then the full-blown like huge battle on a 6 foot by 4 foot table. It's got this weird just way that it works out, and it's not like 40k, so there's not like a lot of shooting. And if you pack your table full of terrain and you sort of put enough terrain on it so it's like almost skirmish level terrain, and then play at 1,000 points, I don't know. I just find that really interesting, and that's my favorite way to play. Some armies, and I've got a few different armies that I play. Some armies are not going to get their full benefit when you play 1,000 points, because you're not going to be able to combo up this leader with this group of units and this other group of units in this battalion formation that costs you a bunch of points to bring in. Those battalions aren't really going to come into play at 1,000 points. Some of them do, but most of the time you just shove those points aside in favor of more units. But there's a very interesting, different kind of interplay playing 1,000 point Age of Sigmar game. I've played some 2,000 point and 1,000 point 40k games, and I don't know, there's just a lot of shooting in 40k, so it's different. So the dynamics of the game are a little bit different. The pile-ins and the positioning and the blocking and the shielding and screening and stuff, that doesn't really, of course, you can play more melee heavy 40k armies, and I've only got 2 40k armies, and I played stuff at the shop, and those are usually like teched out like devil armies that like kill you in turn 1. If you're like me, that just has like a casual Death Watch and a casual Gene Stealer cult army that isn't like kitted out to win anything. But there's something about the 1,000 point 4x4 table Age of Sigmar game that I really just get into. It's a little bit more intimate. The crazy combos aren't there. I know there is crazy combos at 1,000 points, but it's enough so that you can answer it, right? You can, if you've got the models and stuff, you can kind of answer it or set up a scenario to answer it. So there is some combos out there, I'm sure, that somebody can say, well, if you run to Gash, or I don't think you could run to Gash in 1,000 points. I don't remember what he costs anymore. I have to look in the book, but run to Gash with like two groups of skeletons and that's it, and he like wrecks everything or something and casts like 18 spells. There's stuff like that for sure, but if you kind of play a normal game, just the balance of this and the accessibility of it, I'm not sure how long this is gonna come to when I finish editing it and everything, because it takes a little bit longer because I'm moving the camera around and explaining things. But you can also play the game in an hour and a half at 1,000 point games once you get to know the game. It could definitely take you longer as you're learning the game and learning your units, but you can get a really nice, good, solid game in that's close to that sort of epic war game feel. That's kind of skirmish game plus, and get it done. It doesn't take you 3 to 4 hours like a 2,000 point game would, and you're mentally drained also as well, because you've just got so many things going on. And like I said, I like to play with, sorry if I bumped the mic, I like to play with a lot of terrain. I like to have it kind of look cool and stuff. And, you know, if you pack up full terrain at 2,000 points, it can get kind of fiddly and stuff. So yeah, anyway, I really enjoy this game. This is the 1,000-point game. Is kind of my point with this, is that it's kind of one of my favorite games of all time at this point. You know, this one and Kalis and Frostgrave. This level, I like this level of miniature game and skirmish game. And you know, it's also intimate in a way that you are dealing with your units. You're not just like one of many. Your Knight of Souls and you know, your Griff Lord and all that stuff. Well, I can't even remember the names. My brain is really fried. You know, they have a little bit more personality. They're not just like, that's General X and Lieutenant Y in my big army. So anyway, yeah, you can really see, I can probably go back and analyze this later and say, oh, I made a mistake, like with the deployment of the ballista, with a little bit of, you know, forgetting some of the abilities as well, and just with the certain movement and everything, and the game would shape out differently. When I played the first game of this, it was Stormcast decimating the Nighthaunt, which here was basically the reverse. The Nighthaunt really had this game in hand, and that was kind of replaying sort of the same thing with hindsight. So yeah, healing units is good. Bringing units back to life is good. Having a save of 4+ that is not affected by rend at all is really good, especially when a lot of these Stormcast units have rend, and it's like, that rend means nothing. You know, this thing has -2 rend. Doesn't matter, I'm a ghost. So anyway, so hopefully that was fun. I'll try to do more stuff. I got the General's Handbook and some of those endless spells. I didn't want to kind of overwhelm myself and everybody else if you're like watching this to learn how to play. Like I forgot the guy's ability to, you know, heal stuff back, and I forgot the auto unbind. So adding in like endless spells and some of the stuff that comes into play, I didn't really make use of the Realm of Death rules. I kind of glanced at them. There was a couple times I thought about using them, but I, you know, went to something else. The Realm of Death, the fear thing, that sort of came into play. I think it was, yeah, these guys that were over here on this side, they had their bravery reduced, so I rolled a 6, but then I got the chance to re-roll it because they were order, but that did come into play. So, you know, adding these kind of things is fun because you can take, in the case of this box set, you can take your Nighthaunt. Let's say you and a buddy go in on it, and you know, one guy takes Nighthaunt and the other gal takes Stormcast Eternals, and then you can learn those armies, and you're gonna forget stuff just like I forgot stuff. And then you can play the basic scenario. Don't play the one where you just like kill each other. Those are so boring. You need to have objectives and weirdness involved, and that what adds the nuance and the intricacies to the gameplay and the strategy and the tactics. So you can go in there and you can just get this box set, and you can play all those different scenarios, plug and play all of those different realm rules and its allegiance abilities. Like, don't even add the allegiance abilities for the first time that you play, and just play with the basic units on the War Scroll cards, and that's it. And maybe do play that first. Don't play that first scenario where you just kill each other. That's so boring. Pick one of the scenarios that has objectives or something weird, and just do your basic War Scroll cards and learn it, and then you can revisit and revisit and revisit and revisit and plug and play and add all this stuff. And that stuff is going to add a lot of decision making to the process, and it's also going to add theme. And then you can take a look and you can jump to like a Path of the Glory thing where it's got some campaign stuff. There's the Firestorm box that's got a lot of stuff in it, and you can play campaigns. The 1,000-point level is perfect for campaigns, and you can really just kind of tweak and fine tune the game to your liking. If you like the big 2,000-point epic thing that takes 4 hours, you can do that. If you want to play a 1,000-point game and do a campaign and have more narrative and story, you can do that. You know, you go in with like 4 buddies. One, you guys get the, you know, the different box sets and stuff. You can go in. It's great. So anyway, that's kind of my review / let's play of the new Age of Sigmar. So definitely take a look at it and have fun. Thanks.